Department of Science and Innovation and its partners hosted the first open dialogue on the establishment of mNRA Technology Transfer Hub, set to transfer knowledge to African manufacturers on how to make mNRA vaccines like Pfizer and Moderna vaccines. The multi-stakeholder event was held under the theme Strengthening Africa's Vaccine Manufacturing Capacity through the South African mNRA Technology Transfer Hub.
The establishment of the hub actually comes on the back of our bioeconomy strategy, which was launched in 2013, and very much central to it, in particular on the area of health. There were four things that I want to mention. One was that we needed to focus on the development of new medical devices, and two, looking at new or improved diagnostics, and three, the development of vaccines and other biologicals. And lastly, the new or improved therapeutic drugs that are relevant for our continent. So when we started working on the issue of building on the capability as a department for local vaccine manufacturing, and the role that we play, for example, in partnership with BioVac, which Dr. Mmboneni had so eloquently spoken about, one of the things that was clear was that there needed to be a process on the basis of which we start building towards manufacturing vaccines locally. And of course, you know, one of the things that have been highlighted is how complex it is to manufacture vaccines. And hence we had to choose the pathway that will actually enable us to move and arrive at the destination. And while we have started moving in that direction, for example, through various partnerships that were held on technology transfer between BioVac and a whole range of companies, the likes of Sanofi, the likes of Pfizer, what we started doing was to say, how do we do the backward integration towards actual local vaccine development? And at this point, we've got a number of fill and finish tech transfer that have gone on successfully. And the next step was to begin to say, again, let's take step until we really reach a point where we can start from the scratch, from R&D, to develop our own vaccines locally. Now, the department had to invest a lot on the establishment of relevant research infrastructure. We had to invest a lot in the building of capabilities of our own researchers. And I must really say that over the years, South Africa has really had a whole range of very good scientists, some of which, of course, are in the platform here, and the bulk of them are not here. However, what is more important is that we also, through the role that the Department of Innovation play, need to continue to build much more capability. And this is really where we can begin to see some of the new researchers that are coming up in the system. And they are, in one way or another, beneficiaries of various research grants that the department provides, and also directed allocations that are aimed at this particular mRNA tech transfer hub. Now, what I also need to indicate is that already in the process of starting the process that Professor Petro Branch highlighted around getting ourselves ready to transfer this technology to the whole world, those that are willing, those that are going to put on their applications to come and be trained here, that the number of professionals that are working currently in those areas will definitely need to be increased. And that's why we're looking at how best do we strengthen the partnerships with universities, which I must say our local universities have come in a great way. And this is why one of the things that we're doing is not simply to look at copying the vaccines as they are produced everywhere, but to look at how can we actually, using this particular platform, which is the mRNA technology transfer platform, to develop vaccines that will probably be very much relevant to our own environment. Firstly, by way of how we need to deal with issues logistically. So there's a whole range of R&D work that needs to go into that. For example, it will be great if we can really have a vaccine that can actually be a little bit more tolerant than one requiring, say, minus 70 degrees Celsius of storage. That's one thing. The other thing is obviously that this platform then becomes one that we master in developing vaccines that are relevant to our own environment, mention being made, for example, of tuberculosis, looking at developing HIV vaccines. We also need to really look into ensuring that we can develop locally the flu vaccines and so on and so forth. And these can only happen when we continue as the Department of Science and Innovation to support financially and otherwise the work that is happening in all our entities that are conducting R&D, but also those that are starting to take us into an area of demonstration, clinical trialing. We do have that capacity, but we need to continue to strengthen it. And the one critical aspect that we're looking at as a department and as government is that, as we have seen with the issue of both in terms of diagnostics and testing, that it's very easy to be forgotten unless you are able to stand up on your own. And this is really where we very much jump into this opportunity to nurture and build the mRNA Tech Transfer Hub, because it then begins to say, build capability so that as we continue to manage this pandemic and prepare ourselves for future pandemics, then we actually aren't going to be in the next 5 years saying the same thing, that the whole world has forgotten about us, because we will be part of that whole world. And this is really what this Tech Transfer Hub starts to give us. So we are really looking forward, and we are continuing to put an investment. And that's why we keep making sure that even from our R&D side of things, that our scientists, especially those that have been on the forefront of supporting government's role in responding to the pandemic, that we provide funding allocations. And I'm pleased to say that last financial year alone, we actually had to redirect a lot of funding towards COVID-19 response, both in terms of diagnostics, in terms of issues around the vaccine manufacturing and development. That is why there has been a whole lot of announcement also of partnerships that are being formed with the African government, but also with the leadership that is being provided even at continental level, that we're beginning to see this continent marching with a unified vision of saying we are going to stand up and make sure that we actually have capability to respond to the pandemic in future. So I'm going to stop it at that, and then we'll handle whatever it comes through in terms of questions, etc. But thank you very much, Program Director, for the opportunity.